So just why are Republicans so desperate to scare us about what's going on at the border? Let's talk about it in today's video. Hi, I'm Mike Greiner. I'm a lifelong Democratic activist who's concerned about the direction our country is taking. I'm also a lawyer and an academic, and I'm here to help you stand up to the BS of the MAGA crowd. So I remember a long time ago, back when George H.W. Bush was first running for president against John Kerry. I have a few gray hairs, so I'm old enough to remember these things. And I remember talking with a law school professor of mine at the time. He was wondering, how's the race going? Knowing that I'm a bit of a political activist. And I said, I heard a Democrat, I can't remember who exactly it was, say that George Bush is campaigning on fear and John Kerry is campaigning on hope. And I said to my professor at the time, if that's the case, then George Bush is going to win because fear trumps hope any day of the week. Unfortunately, that appears to be the case when it comes to American politics. There's nothing that's a stronger motivator than fear. That's why many Democrats, myself included, are rooting for Donald Trump to win the Republican presidential primary. After all, fear of him coming back into office, we know, is a great motivator to get people to the polls. Similarly, we saw in the last election that fear that women might lose the right to choose and might lose health care are great motivators to get people to vote as well. So Republicans have been trying to use the border and immigrants, people who don't look like us, as the basis for their campaign of fear. And they've been quite effective at it, I must say. There's some basis to say that the Republicans have succeeded in distracting white working class voters from the plutocratic agenda that is deeply unpopular with everyone, including Republican voters, of tax giveaways to the very wealthy, by saying, hey, don't look at these tax giveaways, look over there at those dirty immigrants who are crossing the border illegally. Now, as I've reported repeatedly on my channel, these fears are at best overblown and at worst downright lies. And I have one video where I document the fact that a fake video is created showing people illegally crossing the border. That video got widespread airplay on Fox News, of course. And so if you ask yourself, how can these white working class voters vote for people who support an agenda that is so contrary to their own personal financial interests? The answer is that they've been distracted by all this immigrant talk. And in fact, it's been shown repeatedly that the defining characteristic between people who support Republicans these days and who support Democrats these days is their level of racial antagonism. No, it's not education. Educated people just tend to be less racist than those who are not educated, just because we've been exposed to different kinds of people. Part of the reason, of course, that Republicans are in such a war against education and against exposing people to things that they might not have thought of before, or to different people and different ideas. Well, as it turns out, reporting from the New York Times has revealed that this isn't the only reason that Republicans are engendering so much fear among their base. It turns out that there's an entire group of entrepreneurs, financiers, if you will, who benefit from the fear that is associated with defending the border. You're talking about arms manufacturers, security contractors, equipment suppliers, and the like. Of course, I'll link to this article down below, but check out some of the images that were captured here. Here we can see a robotic attack dog that can be used to attack people without any mercy, as well as various kinds of surveillance tools here. And how could we forget about contractors who want to build the wall and other facilities at the border? No, as it turns out, there's an even more direct economic motive than just the billionaires who want to see their taxes cut. It turns out that there are some people who have a direct financial interest in seeing people scared about the border. And those people, unfortunately, have powerful friends in the Republican Party and in Congress. Most recently, we heard about the panic that Republicans were generating among people over the end of Title 42. That's the COVID-era legislation which Donald Trump has used as an excuse to keep people seeking asylum from entering the United States to press their claims. A practice that, contrary to my preferences, was continued by President Biden. As it turns out, there was no crisis, and people were amazed at how calm things were at the border, with actually fewer crossings than there were before. That, of course, didn't stop Marjorie Taylor Greene from introducing a resolution to impeach Joe Biden over the crisis at the border. Just showing once again the lack of connection there is between the reality of what's going on at the border and the rhetoric that you're hearing about it. And now we see one more reason why that's the case. Well, if you want to see the video or react to the fake video that Fox News created about the crisis at the border, check out this video over here. I'll see you then. In the meantime, let's hope for continued progress. Thank you.